All right, up there. That spot gets the first light of the day in this whole area, and it gets the last light as well. And so it's a perfect spot to make sure we suck in both the morning light and the late daylight and the middle of the daylight, and potentially put a solar oven right there, or do some experiments on various solar ovens. Because I really think we can easily build them with evacuated tube solar hot water heaters. Magic. And I don't know, if people don't trust them, you can sell them two models, one of which uses a backup of charcoal and or propane. You could sell different models. Just walking down here because I never walk up there anymore because I can't get there. I mean, I can, but it's too annoying. And so just maintaining roads, trails around here is actually a full job. I don't know for how many people, how much of the month or the year, but probably you would make two big passes after the rains so that you cut off all the green parts of any plant you've identified you don't want more of later, which you should do very carefully. So you have to train the people who do it not to murder the wrong plants, which of course they will do unless they're trained, but you trained them like crazy, right? And you watch their ass. There's really cool trees in here. And any change we make in this whole area, I want to cut down a lot of junk stuff, primarily white oaks. I guess that's my enemy here. Look, we've got the last bit of light over there for the evening. That would make a nice park to sit in, really at any time of the day. It could be a spot that got shade in the daytime, and then in the evening time it got sun. That whole ridge is an amazing ridge, completely underutilized. I haven't walked along it in years, and it's a terrible tragedy. Ouchies. Fucking burrs. It's because this trail isn't cleaned. Now, one option is, of course, to bring a donkey through here and just tie him up at a few spots and then see if he eats this stuff here. And then if the donkey won't do it, like eat this junk right here, then get goats in here. And then you got to fence the fucker. That's why I really want to fence in so much. I want to overspend on fencing, except I don't know where to put stone fencing. The easiest kind of fencing, of course, is the barbed wire. Sun goes down over there. So I need to identify every single space where the sun goes down the latest during all times of the year, and have a map that shows that. And then I can give people another half hour to an hour of sun. And also, that's my last opportunity to collect like the real hottest part of the sun. Well, hottest is at 12 or 3 or whatever, but one thing I would definitely like to do here, well, God, this is a tough spot. It really is. And the bigger these trees, the more enamored I get with them. But they don't all get to live. Look, there's berries on this one. This is cool. So we want to save this one. I need to cut a lot of underbrush in here. And then I guess if I just spent the money on fencing and then let the goats go apeshit in here, and then observed what they ate to make sure they don't eat what I don't want eaten. It's kind of hard to reason with a goat, right? I want them to eat that plant. Don't kill that one. That's the one I like. And eat this plant, that plant, that plant, that plant. So I don't know. I mean, can you train goats to be anything reasonable? I'm a Capricorn myself, or so I say. But then I also tell you that I lie about that. So good luck. Well, it's neat to see that whole row of trees there. I left that entire ridge as a windbreak. I have a natural windbreak on my neighbor's property. I put one over on this side over here. And that means over in that area somewhere, I'd like to build a large building. And it may connect up with this area. It will, definitely. It should have really nice walking paths to go multiple ways to get up there to the other place. Really nice place. And they should be people who probably are parked where they are camped or at the building that they're in. And ideally people are parked with their vehicle. I don't like having it leave my vehicle. And I've been in countries where I think they had hotels, and often they were used for sexual liaisons, but they could also be a very cheap place to go. That some of them take dogs, and you know, they might be a place because you just need to zonk out for 4 hours and then get back on the road. And so you can rent those by less time. You could even tell them, hey, I brought my own sleeping bag. I won't even be touching your sheets. Don't bother change them. You know, if that helps them. Or just makes them nervous. What the hell did that guy do to the sheets? Ugh. Fuck. God, that oak over there is massive. Wow. Yeah, I think I should name every single amazing tree. Every single one. And some of them I would not classify as amazing. Sorry. Not everybody gets in. Some people get cut down. Fuck. There's another place over there, but that's a different whole place. And that has a different purpose in life. And who knows? Then there's another space up there. It's a whole hill. It's big. It's the highest point on this side of the property. And we dug up there. We got a bulldozer around the top, dug somewhat, and I want to keep digging between the oaks. I'm sure they're recovered by now, long recovered. And I want to dig between them and make spaces kind of down under the ground, tunnels between them, hand dug tunnels. And it doesn't really matter how deep we go. And we might use a machine to help, you know, who knows. But it's a very sensitive area, so we have to be very careful. This business of sculpting land, I think, is underappreciated. And I wonder if I need to read some of the great city architects. I've read Cavassier, and I've read some weirdo people that were great, actually, for the most part. I haven't read everything. I'm against the way that cities are built entirely, based on things I've read. And so I don't think we should live that way at all. I think it's unhealthy, dangerous for everyone, leads to corruption, removes us from the land. Basic shit. I'm just pointing it out. If you don't agree, then do whatever you want. I'm not in charge of you or anybody else. God, look at the size of that oak right there and that pine. Yeah, I'd like to set up some protected tree areas, because as I frighten myself when I talk about bulldozing places, even though I know what happens is they grow over if they're not wanted, and they often improve water flow. But like these guys, like these are oaks right in the middle of a fucking trail. This one we could bend over there and do something cool with. This one also we could probably tie in knots and make it look weird as we wonder what we're going to do with this area. Oh, here's my poor van. Tire's low too. Fuck. It's very sad, this van. Oh wow, look how flat that tire is. Holy motherfuck. It's just getting harder and harder to get anything done around here. Now I have a pump though, so I should be able to pump water from over there to over there. Not even a far distance. But all my running water depends on that tiny difference. Which means it would be nice if there was a building up there that was collecting water that came to my house in pressurized tubes at the right pressure. And if we could all we could collectively decide that we own each other's roofs. This is really fucked up, by the way, because I don't want to cause ownership problems. But essentially, in terms of cleanliness of your upstairs neighbor, where you get your water, you have kind of rights to that deck, to keep it clean, to be invited over. You have rights to the deck above you, which is weird to say, isn't it? And one system overflows into another. And so all through the rainy season, you're just filling in every place you can as much water as possible. Maximum. Like there's a whole building up there that's really pretty that could be capturing lots of water, tons of water, like really tons. And all I have to do is buy and dig out spots for some tanks to store it in. And some of them can be obvious, some of them can be hidden. You know, we would get the whole thing stored. And that would be an amazing amount of water in a really critical space where we could plant cool shit. But if the theory is to build a lot of, larger buildings, then we can get even more water. But how much water do we get per person? It depends on the area that they use up vertically. And then how much water they think they need. Because one of the main goals has to be to teach people to use less water. They are really dumb. And they cannot predict the future when they would have any want or need. They have too much stuff. I did once. I was not the worst, but I sure did waste a lot of energy. Electrical energy on dumb shit. But I was in a cold house. It was a bad design, so I have excuses. Good thing, huh? Otherwise I'd get in big trouble. All right. What a fucking mess. I don't even make coffee because it's so dirty in there. I don't want to deal with anything in the kitchen. That's how dirty it is. Anyway, that place I mentioned that I cut way up on the hill grew over, of course. But there's just pioneer species. It's okay. I've seen places that are now pines that were that. And if I'm going to have something grow over an area I thought I was going to clear, then, I'm happy to contribute to the ongoing replantation of my own forest. So I don't want to discourage that sort of behavior, even if it does end up with a bunch of like pine trees in places I don't want them really, because they're annoying. Hey fucker, how you doing? All right, I have not eaten in quite a while. I've not felt like eating. I think I've been in a weird mood that has been known to occur in my life. And I suppose most people's lives. I don't even know. Jesus fuck. What a shithole. That work for you? Works for me. I should have some kind of tiny flexible tripod I can clip onto shit. And actually there's a lot of stuff to clip onto which are called trees. So something I have a infinite number of. I can even paint on a tree. This is an okay tree to clip onto in case they have some kind of mean clip that's going to hurt my tree and piss me off. This is a great food to eat. Where you at? You checking my body out over there? The fuck you doing? Jesus fuck. Whatever. Oh man. I guess it's not good to eat. No, to not eat for too long. Maybe I'll make some pasta. I have some eggs. But first, a peanut butter tortilla snack. This is probably the lamest snack in the world, but see how there's peanut butter there? And I just put them together, and then I fold them up a little bit so they don't goo on me too much. They're not a well-behaved food. Oh. You know, I was thinking, an exception in a very specific part of the land to the rule that that you can't have music while you're vending. What we could do is have food carts which sold the most popular or healthiest or something else I think is good foods from all over the world, street foods. Because what do Mexicans like? Street foods. I like street foods. And popular ones get really popular. Fuck. These things take forever to eat. It's like when you give a dog peanut butter. So I've told you about many places here in the forest. Haven't always named them. I could, and I could make the map and share it, but I don't think I'm gonna. Nope. I will show parts of the map. To the appropriate people who need to know. For our security, the number one thing to do is to fill in roles in places doing things that are compatible in that place. And I believe that mainly implies I need to write a bunch of invites. Make an offer to people who know a lot more than I do about something. And can run an entire program, which is an unusual skill set, by the way. I really believe that with just a couple of changes, and I believe I can measure this. If I have bird feeders that do artificial intelligence on the bird, and you tell it where it is, and it learns what the bird is anyway. It probably even asks you if it doesn't know, and then you can tell it because I have books and stuff. But this place would have 10 times more birds if there was water elements. 10 times. Those birds would be eating things, seeds and stuff, fertilizing the soil. They would actively be fertilizing the soil on a massive level. And I can make sure I plant things birds like, and of course bees as well. And having water available is just the number one critical thing. Everything else I do is icing on the cake, but I might as well do a good job at it. I might as well I've tried to plant bird seed before, and I should try it again. I don't know what happened. I forgot. But, in the right time of year, if you dump bird seed on the ground, it's going to sprout stuff that produces seeds that birds eat. And then they'll poo those places, and then they'll have more to eat. I guess. I don't know. I suppose it depends on what kind of bird seed it is. God damn, what a magical place. I think it's as scary as it is to me, since I really don't want the entire forest trunk down. that bothers me the most. I think a pass of cleaning it would be good. Meaning, for a couple of years, we do a lot of very small fire pits in totally fire safe areas. They're like sculpted stone shit, and everything is far away from them, and everything is vented properly, and it's really efficient. And it's in the most amazing places. So we barely use wood, but we use it for a time. And that's because as I walked around today, I saw tons of wood garbage blocking use of areas. And it's a useful supply, otherwise it's just going to become mushroom food, which is not bad that it happens. It's great, actually. It happens most places. But we can at least clear up near roads and spaces that we could easily just clean up. Like, that's what I saw today, was I walked around and I saw that you can't go anywhere. Like, I mean, it's not even ready for someone to van camp there, even to just pull up. And I talk about making these awesome comfort stations and stuff. Well, I don't got any right now. I can build one right up there. I just visited that spot today. It has a lot of amenities. And its primary one is you can park next to it and have the use of this entire roof area. And I think I'll probably be able to put internet in there, and you would be parked near it. Only and you know, like, only the coolest people would get to park really close to it. They would be people who are making it a better place by, like, turning the lights on or off, or helping people install themselves and not be dumbasses. Although anybody who got to that one, I would want to already not be a dumbass. My dumbass location will be down there. And that doesn't mean they're actually dumbasses. They're not convicted. They're just, statistically, that's the case. I wonder about every kind of architecture I can. Of course, I've thought of shipping container architecture, and I can get those a ways away. And I think my road is now good enough to get one here. But, I mean, when I see them, I always see, like, cranes moving them around and shit. And I'm like, well, I don't have a crane and stuff. And so, I don't know. That's not very high on my list. I do think just building a whole bunch of buildings that were designed as black stone buildings or concrete, and they pointed south, east, or south, and they specifically just existed to suck in as much black solar radiation as possible. And you could have optional air venting, and I want non-toxic black, because it seems like that would be like the ultimate solar dehydrator. Now, that would be hitting the food directly, but, I mean, you could put a black thing in there on the other side of the window, and then the heat would stay within that, and then you could measure the humidity and stuff. That's a different design than I'm using now. I already want to use the evacuated tube solar water heaters, so I already know that. But, if there's going to be a base on the building, it might as well be a base that sucks in thermal mass. Why not? Huh. I think dividing this land up is the greatest thing I'll have ever done. It's very difficult. I already know where a lot of the lines are. In some cases, I wonder about having a line be a road, because then it causes different people to be responsible for maintaining it. And the people who have access to a road the most and use it are the people who are more willing to be responsible for maintaining a road. So you want a great many roads that are only have one owner on both sides at times. And there might be times to do it in a different percentage. I don't know. Good walls, good neighbors. Yeah, got to figure that shit out. They got to be stone. They got to be tall. That's the only correct answer. They should also be combined with hedgerows. Many of them should be connected to buildings. And in that case, it would be a harder wall to get through. And I would like to choose very carefully where I have places with outdoor porches all in the building. It may be that indoor porches are more useful. And that would be a good question, is to like just build a building with outdoor porches that people have. I mean, other people can walk through it, and then they have a room next to it. It's their front room. And then behind it, they have maybe, a private room with a kitchenette. And then on the other side, they could put a bedroom, or they can open that one as well. I mean, we could make flexible buildings so you own a block of it, and you actually, just like in a video game, imagine that. Like you could buy like blocks of building from a couple different owners, and they could all say their price, and you could literally build your own new home. Particularly something like adding on a room. You might decide to buy a room from someone, and it's horizontal to you, because a lot of rooms should be multi-purpose. I mean, if your business expanded, then you might be willing to pay rent to your neighbor so that you can use his spot as well. Or maybe you buy him out entirely, and he just moves to a different spot. That's what it should be. So easy to transfer property. It could be like checking in and out of a hotel room, except you shouldn't do it very often because it's wasteful. But I would say try and stay in a place long enough to clean your sheets, which for me is never. So stay forever, I guess. Oh, fuck. Oh. Yeah, the other thing would help with wildlife, and birds would be putting more raised stuff in oak trees and pine trees. Like putting logs up there that lay across it, except maybe not try and make like things that fall down and hit people on the head. But there might be ways to do it, like with bundles of grasses and bundles of sticks, where we could actually put up there a bundle of sticks and grasses and just junk into any tree that seems like a good fit for it, because they got the right shape there of branches. And we could even just tie around it like twine that's going to rot anyway, like the brown kind of light coffee looking color. And so you could actually, this would be like a daredevil job, but you would haul up these bunches of plants and then dump them up there. And who knows, we could do things like dump orchids up there. We could dump bromeliads. The higher up, the better. And that way they're going to have more chance on their own to not be collected, but to repopulate that tree, which may or may not have ever had more. We can also set up our own scientific versions of that, where we grow them in a very specific controlled environment to maximize their seed production. And then we have their seeds go into particular terrariums that grow thousands of baby orchids. Because people pick and sell those orchids, and they're killing them. They're killing off this traditional flower. So I'm going to go ape shit and bring it back. It's not high on my list of shit to do, I tell you. I got too much crap I need to get done. But if I partner with people well and they're willing to handle a bunch of the work, like I'm talking with this guy about starting a wellness center. Well, do I do the work or does he? Who's financing it? Do we start it as camping, which is my advice, and I have space to camp. I mean, I have spaces that are rentable right now, and I have other spaces I can make more rentable. And it'd be a risk. But anybody who I invited would have gone through a filtering process that is quite stringent. And where they got invited to, when, and how would depend on how much I trust them. That's honest. It's totally honest, and I think we should all do that. I think we should have reputation management. Wow. This is such a pleasant evening. I'm just like in a t-shirt here. And the sun has already gone down. My skin is getting slightly chilly, but in a way that feels good and refreshing after a hot day. That's one thing I can do to help people with the seasons here and understand what they need is, first of all, you're always going to need a straw hat. And I know where to buy them. So I should stock a number of basic ones that I think are good. And I'll put a price on them. It would be ones I would buy. And I'm a cheapskate, but I buy the best ones because I know what I'm doing. And so I could have those stocked. And then, of course, as a field trip, people could go to the hat town and look at the weird hats and buy a goofy hat. That's fine. But I should have functional hats available. You can't sit out in the sun here for too long or you'll get burned. I don't get burned even though I walk for many hours in the sun, but I'm not from Norway. So, maybe I'm used to it. These rambling videos are actually meant to communicate with certain kinds of people who might wish to live here or just enjoy hearing ideas that they may implement in their own life, or you could think they're stupid. But, time will tell. Look at how pretty it is out there. See, I should be up at the view. There's a great view up there, and I don't have a view here. And if I did build a building right up there at the first light and the last light sun, in other words, I built it at a point where the sun comes to with the current configuration of trees this time of year anyway. But I've noticed before it's a sunny spot. But if I did build a building there that was designed to suck in the sun all the time, that'd be very interesting. Like the only way to know what too much is to do it. And the thing is, it could be wide enough building. You could keep adding spots onto it until it got cooled down. But if the goal was for this whole wall to suck in the early morning sun, the southern sun, would have like angled glass maybe, and then the last day of sun, and move all that heat, adding in solar hot water heaters. So you can even measure like how much is doing what to the room. But you make rooms that are just way too hot. And then you have successive doors that go deeper inside the building until it eventually cools off. And ideally, the rooms I'm picturing, I don't know how big they are. I think having a lot of flexible rooms in at least one building would be super interesting. And they would not be high ceiling. The walls would be changeable with straw bale is fine. We can get straw bale. We could do that. The primary reason for that is so that some people live in sound insulated areas and sound insulation would actually move through the building. Some people would prefer a cob wall or an adobe wall. But some people will want to put in straw bales. And I think we don't have earth bags because I don't know if we have the structural interest in adding that kind of weight. But straw bales aren't as bad. And they're so changeable. I mean, you could sculpt your walls all you want. People could get really creative. We could have everybody look at the book, The Hand Sculpted House. I mean, people could be carving their buildings all the time. It would be brilliant. It's interesting that I like concrete roofs, but I'm cool with adobe or cob walls. And what I have to do is talk to structural engineers about that and make sure I have the structural integrity with my natural materials being used in there. Maybe I need to do cross beams of concrete or cement. Maybe I have to attach them to buildings which are more stable, and I can certainly do that. I'm going to do it in 2 spots. I'm just going to build buildings around those buildings and have it be a variety of different ways and have it be so you can have a fire in the middle. Maybe more than one. I could, instead of putting one fire in the middle of it, I could put fireplaces on either side with little alcoves so the sun comes in during the day and it bounces around and it's a very pleasant place to be. And then at night, in the depths of the building, you have a big room with 2 fireplaces on either side. And that maybe you have that in a bunch of buildings. In other words, you have too many meeting places. And the reason I say that is because I want people to meet. And it might be that they meet in some spaces where they have plexiglass between them because they're disease isolated. There's some people with more disease risk than others. We're going to treat them differently. That's a crazy idea I have. I think it's really wise. We do not needlessly need to like spread diseases all over in our fucking own social group. And so the only solution for that is to test everybody for everything, quarantine and fix them, or move them into another group of people who all share that particular disease. And everybody's just honest about it. And less people get diseases right away. And that'd be great. I mean, I've solved STDs for a committed group of people who are willing to share that information with each other and have a vested interest in thinking, hey, we don't want to spread diseases because people do fuck each other. You're aware that they do, right? I don't have to describe that to you. Oh, fuck. All right, so here we go. Time to do things. All right. So it's getting a little chilly outside, which gives me a to-do item, and that is to charge up my laptop battery, put on some warmer clothing, and prepare for evening. And this is actually information for you if you ever come here or you go anywhere and you wish to be an intelligent, good person and not a dumbass. Sorry about the bad lighting over there. That's a little better. Shit. To have a functional community space of any kind, you're going to need to agree to a whole bunch of shit. And you're going to have to change your behavior because the entire philosophy of the space is one of energy conservation, time conservation, giving you more free time, and also using your productive time more productively somehow. And that all depends on the person, and we're all different and stuff. But god damn, my sweater's so beat up. I'm so annoyed that they don't sell these all the time. Maybe the guy only comes through once a year. Maybe I need to tell everybody in that area, hey, if this guy ever comes back to sell this kind of sweater, buy a bunch of them from him and I'll buy them for him from more. Or buy me one. Fuck. God damn. Okay. So, My little dog is okay. That's good. I have candles. All my candles are fucked up. Not all of them, most of them. We're going to go into nighttime here in the forest. And the reason we're going to do that together is so that you realize what you have to do. First of all, it's going to get cold really fast. Now, I don't know how to warn you with the appropriate level of warning. I don't know you, you know. But it gets cold pretty damn fast. So I think that way before you go to sunset or something, you should have bundled up. In other words, bundle up to go to sunset. Now, it may depend on which sunset it is, actually, because there's going to be different sunset locations. And really, every single community will have its own agreed upon values about what they're interested in. It's not a matter of right and wrong. That's not the kind of rules we're talking about. In some cases, in others we are. But in this case, the primary rule set is that everybody's interested in similar tasks. You know, that community has certain goals. And they have the types of industry that they want to be in. They have how they want to raise kids or not be involved with kids at all. How they want to get old. And they might move. You know, I mentioned like... Smooth, very nice. Like it when the generator starts. It's actually a great generator. Of all the products I have here, the one that saved my ass the most is that one right there. Without a question. That's a Honda EU 2000i, I think. And it's quiet-ish. It would be quieter if it was in a room where fans were blowing air in one side and out the other. And I actually have a room like that. So I could get rid of this generator's noise a huge amount, except that the buried cable from there to here is broken. Or from here to there. Or both. I have to check that. It's been some years since I've dealt with that problem. I'm inundated with problems that are all solvable, excellently solvable. The number one thing is to enlighten buildings with solar. I believe that. And that's because the nights are very long. And dark nights are not used for as useful of things as light nights. You know? And that means you have a well-lit place to be in the evening until you decide you don't want to be there anymore. And you have those times selected very carefully for the space. And you may even move times around. I mean, I think doing social control with zoning, this is probably a controversial idea, but I think doing controversial decisions with zoning is a brilliant idea. Because essentially we can create a town and a culture that simply doesn't allow certain things. Smoking would be an example. And yes, you've seen me smoke cigarettes. That's another reason not to have them, is because nice people like me will die. And people are stupid. If people want to smoke cigarettes somewhere, give them a place to do it, whatever. You know, I don't know. I mean, I'm not making them hard and fast rules in a lot of cases. This is a very interesting spot right here. We were here before. This is the entryway to my house up there. What I would like to do with this is put a wall and gate somehow figured out into there. It may have a stone bulkhead right here and a gate over there. And also I'm thinking about bulldozing straight through here and then using that dirt to fill that area. We talked about that a little bit. But this is essentially my house right here. And so what I need to do as I freak out about inviting fuckwads here is decide what my house means. And I think my house means my house, the building above it, because I'm going to fix up my water system better. And also I like that building, and I'll be able to invite people into it. And it's a really, I'm not going to sleep in it. I'm going to put supplies in it, and I'm going to make it a more comfortable space all around and put a campfire up there, you know. All this shit wasn't here growing up. This bamboo's doing great. That one's doing even better. That's because that's on the uphill side of that thing. I got Nisboro in there. I've got citrus in there. Got a whole bunch of shit in this garden. I think the thing to do is to chop the lower branches of the lower pines and establish human areas under the shade of those trees. And then build like seating, stone seating, or have aluminum frame seating. Those are both options. They can both last a long time if they're treated correctly. And this area over here, I don't want to say the name of it. In fact, that's because I forgot it. I did name it at one point, but the sign got eaten by the forest. It goes over to a gully, and then that's on the other side the public road. This is a really interesting road. I think the only people that should go down this road are people who have something to do with this area here, and also that we control other access into this area. This is another layer of defense in a way. But no one should even be getting in there without going through major things. And then we can easily like connect this to there. And then we can connect this to there. And are these two different things, or do we want to call them one thing? One big piece of land. This gets back to the question of, do you have owners on both sides of the road? And I would say, yes, you do. Because it allows the owner to do things that are more coordinated with the other businesses. And also, we can design those businesses ahead of time so that mid-block there's a little plaza, you know? So that there's a walking trail that goes off to somewhere else. And some of them are walking trails open to anyone, and some of them aren't. And we've got buried spots and spots in the sun. I want to densify these buildings quite a bit because I want people in them, and I don't want those people stomping the whole forest down. And so I do have a spot picked out over there for a whole building, and I don't have one picked out for over here. But who knows? I mean, I have all these ideas for like primitivist groups and different groups of people I don't find annoying too much. And some people I might really enjoy. That would be really stellar. Oh, I guess I have to build housing for them. That's the only answer. Invite the van lifers, but that's a smaller market, really. And getting RVers to come up here is going to be a sell. A lot of them have really big RVs, I think. I like van RVs, small RVs. I don't know. I'd like to invite RVers to be here, but I want to make sure that I have the infrastructure to help them, like, turn their vehicle on a corner. Because I see that some of those RVs are pretty hefty. My best traveling was on a bicycle. It was a great trip. I was free. I was 15 and a half and 16. 2 different trips. I went to trips with little kid leaders before that. And that was actually helpful. I mean, that introduced me to cycling. And I never really thought about that, come to think of it. But I remember, I don't know how old I was. I was probably in like 6th grade or something. That seems like pretty young to be zooming down the hill on a fast bike. But hey, I didn't fuck up. Maybe I was 7, I don't even know. But no, I'm, usually good at not fucking up. With a notable exception. It's nice to see those palms are growing right there. I think that we should be putting more of those in this year and make an entire program to plant every kind of palm that there is. I would also like to plant every kind of banana that there is. Now, of course, that list can get narrowed down by which ones are really stupid to plant here. That's not a problem. I'm not saying plant all of them, but plant all the ones that might be good. There's one that's like blue custard or something. I don't know. I forgot. But, you know, there's mangoes out there too that are weird mangoes. Well, why not be a weird mango guy? Like, get as many weird mangoes going here as possible. And one of them might do really, really well. This area in here, where I'm going to put a building, that should get bulldozed flat right away. I should probably consider, well, I did mention like maybe shooting a road all the way over there and digging that out, putting in a lower floor, and dumping all the dirt in the direction of the little building down there. Because that'll just give more space in that area near that little building anyway. There might be some trees in the way. I gotta figure that out. But all of this, if you imagine it without those two plants I don't like, actually have places to park. They're not perfectly level. And that's kind of important and may have to do with a bulldozer. We shall see. Right in here, I haven't thought of this before, but I've got a roof over there. It's just boards and stuff under it, but we could have a fire all year. And I think that's really important because a bunch of it's rainy and it's also really nice days, but there is some rain. So I think getting controlled small fires, because I don't want to fuck the roof up, getting them under that building might be a really good idea during the rainy season. I believe that as I walk around here, I could probably, especially if I had a couple guys with machetes, no offense on the sexism, you're welcome to be a chick if you want. But if you can machete well, I have like infinite macheting and weed whacking work to do because I want to change the use of the land in a way that is gentle as possible. If that makes sense, and it better. And so, like there's that whole edge of that hill over there, the big hill, going in there and kind of seeing what's happened. Because it was a long time ago I cut those pines right there. And now it's all filled with a mix of trees, all of which are candidates to be really fucking cool. They're my plant babies. I love them. They plant themselves. It's really pretty fantastic. I think I could walk around with the GPS and just say to a bulldozer guy, well, actually, I'm not going to do this. That's too spontaneous. But like all of this shit in here, there's got to be a path through there we can put in. I would like to put in paths in here that are curved, and most of that will have to be machete and weed whacker work to then see what we're working with and then decide upon areas to carefully flatten or not, or decide on where trails go. Because as it is, you can't see the actual forest for the trees. And the bushes, actually. The bushes are a bigger problem, not the trees. Most of the trees I want to keep. Most trees are candidates I like. But all this other shit in here I don't want. This guy will probably stay here. It's pretty close to the road. But it might even have another road on the other side of it. I think it used to, but it's down there. Anyway, but, you know, if we cleared this out a little bit, this is also a spot for car camping. And when I picture like ideal car camping, I think of like people coming and setting up their car as a camp. They don't have to be like art cars when they're running. But, you know, like with my van, I could set up PVC tubes off the top of it in a camo tarp. Because I saw those online and they looked funny. Use of music with people with solar power systems. Right, you're off our grid, so our control rules don't necessarily match with yours. But you have your own light and music at night. And I think what we can do, because we love to be so quiet here, is we can accommodate you by positioning you camped out in a spot further away from other people. We can also tell you that you should keep it below a certain decibel level, which we will check with a decibel meter if we feel like it, because no one wants to be a dickhead, right? I hope you don't. You won't be welcome here. So, you know, keep your music low. Really, the actual rule is earbuds. Get it in your ears. But if you haven't figured that out, there could be cases where you could have small amplified music. We could have a whole neighborhood, but the thing is, my fear is I'm going to hear that neighborhood. I don't want to hear that neighborhood. I already hear the nearest neighborhood to me. What is this noise? Oh, it's my generator. I forgot I turned it on. Look, my jacaranda is turning purple. It's very nice. I should collect all the seeds of that and have trays of seeds germinating off this one, because it's here, it's happy. It's the only one. And I want 500. Why not? We can stick them in places we don't even know what we want there yet. I do want to avoid that. Actually, that's exactly what I don't want. Learning how to mass produce any seed is going to be key to this project. And that means laboratory conditions. And I don't mean perfectly clean laboratory. I mean a space in which you can be comfortable and prosperous. Everything here is okay. Oh, yeah, that's working. That's good. Something actually works. That's insane. What the fuck parallel universe is this? So, the purpose of this long video, which I'm astounded you're getting through, is to really complexify the question of what to put where if you have a bunch of land. I've done a series of videos about that now, talking about placement along the public road, talking about getting access in another way, talking about buying neighbors, which I'm not currently able to do. That's one of the reasons I'm interested in, like, who might be a good neighbor and how that would work out. Because I see properties for sale, and I believe all properties for sale. Not maybe all true, but pretty close. And it's just a question of price. And so I'm looking for people who come in with quite a bit of money to invest, and not into my system necessarily. That would be a different conversation and much more complex. But just getting you to buy land nearby with the intention of making fully off-grid communities within it. And I use the word plural because I want to sell you in this idea of having multiple gated communities next to each other that have all the services that those kinds of people need. Like today I was writing in my notebook, okay, because I don't know shit about kids, right? And I held a newborn once, though. It was really cute. It was like, wow, that was cool. I don't know why it's so cool. It's like seeing a space alien coming to Earth for the first time, and just imagining what was going into her eyes and brain. It's very fun. Anyway, she had just been born, like, I don't know, 30 minutes earlier or something. I don't know how long. Oh, yeah. Ages of babies. And so there's 0 to 3, because at 4 they start to become slightly smarter. I thought I was pretty smart at 4. That was probably cute. 5, they go to school, and that's an adult thing to do. It's training you for the job market. And I think that we should do that here. Absolutely. In all educational levels. And we should have tons of time to play outside in safe locations, and run around and build shit and just go ape shit. In other words, I want them to have ideal childhoods, and I want them to turn off their fucking cell phone. And you probably do too. Well, this would be the culture of the space in most cases, not always. Hell, there could be like a space where it's a kid's show, where all the kids have agreed we're all going to be online, and we're going to do reviews of toys or whatever, although not stupid ones like that kid. I don't mean to judge him. I'm thrilled with his success. It's great. But not stuff like made of plastic and stuff like that, but like tools that actually make children stronger and train them for the real world. And that includes every kind. That includes everything that the public school teaches, which we'll be able to zoom through really quickly because I only want smart kids involved. And disruptive kids get kicked out. Bummer, dude. You know, school should be super fun and should teach people things that they really need to know. Like, and they're all different, but all the information's out there. We can index it on the web. And of course, there's different homeschooling programs to buy as well. We can evaluate all of that. But, you know, I want to tell kids stuff like, don't be stupid and be a slave to the state and shit. Which I don't know is polite to say to them. But somebody ought to tell them, because otherwise they'll be stupid ass slaves to the state. And then we get more wars and corruption, and every organization that's in power in the entire world would rather stay in power than see you win. They're on the same team. With interruptions, of course, and arguments and wars and shit. But for the most part, the actual people controlling the power structure, bankers and stuff like that, are so vastly out of the realm that we're in, that, I don't know. I mean, money's not real. And the actual structure of the business is real. And if that's the valuation of the business, and that's how they're estimating that this person has too much money or something, well, what do you want me to do? Dismantle the business? Or manage it differently? I mean, you can be critical all you want. And, but business owners who succeed in a great way, entrepreneurs, often do it in weird ways, I think. I don't know if I'm one of those or not. The future will tell whether I'm successful or not. Look, there's a cute hummingbird over there. I see hummingbird nests sometimes. I want to build more nesting area, way more nesting area. Owls need nesting boxes. That's a definitely do, because I've heard owls before, but I think I hear them less than I did before. And so I want to put up more owl boxes for them. I want to, make a design that the wood guy in town makes it. And I want to have like a big one and a small one and a little one. And I want it to have the bottom of it perhaps let out poo or something. And if there's any landing pad for it, I don't know how that works. But I want to figure out which owl-sized box is most popular. Because we have great horned owls here, biggest owl in the world. And then there's pygmy owls too, and then everything in between. and they're cool, but I think all the habitat here is getting constrained heavily, and the water's got to be top of that. It's got to be, and that's my number one thing I have to change. Bring water to the forest by saving it and storing it at whatever cost it takes for every building that there is. That should be like a building commitment. And maybe it gets broken occasionally, but even a fucking burrow shelter with tiles can move water off into a bin at the end of it, and that'll keep that donkey watered for most of the year right there without even storing any water, except in this fairly large bin that's filled with water all the time because it's a rainy season. In other words, you got rid of part of your work with really easy infrastructure. And that's one thing that scares the shit out of me when people talk about having projects here. It's like there's going to be a bunch of peripheral work. And it depends on what the idea is entirely. But usually, if it's ambitious enough and it's the kind of proposal I want to hear, because I actually do want to hear proposals from people who want to live here and perhaps use this as a base to get to know other people to create another community with. I think that would be a great service to offer. And I could invite different kinds of people at different times, like the kind of people who want to be with old people, or they want to be with young people, or they want to be with gay people, or they want to be with religious people. I don't want to help them at all, but they want to be with the atheist people. They want to be with the kid-free people. Whatever it is that their thing is they're into. I would love to help them do that. And I have enough space, I think, to meet some of those groups. And not all of them are incompatible either. But I do need to make a long form to help me know what kind of crazy this old folks are, because they're nuts. I am. Maybe they're not all nuts. Maybe it's just because the ones I deal with are online or weirdos in some other way. It's actually very relaxing. I've been on the computer too much, in my opinion. And I've been doing good at making videos, I guess. And then this is on my phone right now, so it's going to be a little disjointed with the other ones. But I'm talking a lot about land use and this sacred activity of deciding where land gets used, with the understanding that we're no longer a localized piece of people who damage stuff around us, but that we're actually actively affecting everything in the environment. And we need to make sure we're using all resources to the most effective goal, and using all water resources and diversifying the forest and increasing wildlife. These are really hard tasks, every one of them. And then inviting people and having good local relations, which they're good now. But I need to always watch those. And if people move here and they're not very controlled, they could affect my reputation, as has happened. And it has happened in a very bad way, more than once. Well, one bad way and two not good ways, or three not good ways. Who knows what's good or bad, whatever. Then we're not convenient. This is nice out here. So right now, it's my belief that on this terrace out here, there first of all should not be a generator running, because I need to replace my solar batteries and I'm still confused about what to get. And it's hard to get anything. I don't have any money to do it. But I'm getting by with the gasoline. It's been interesting. That should have a fire going on it every single night in a dish. And I think this one here should too. Because I've had a New Year's Eve party here before, and it was a bunch of volunteers. They had a blast. And I do like throwing parties. And even though I speak about not having any amplified music, I believe we should break that rule for really good reasons on the best holidays, and as much as we like it. And I don't know what that is, because part of that is as much as I like it, because I'm the standard. That's just how it is. It's not a fucking democracy in the design phase. It fucking becomes a democracy after it's functioning, and the kind of people who like it are the ones who are there. And so very little changes democratically after I kick off. That makes sense? Does to me. And everything should get written down, if at all possible. And there's some security things that should be kept private, but that's for security. And then there's so many design rules and things to do. And then get the chicken and the rabbit thing going again. Maybe get emus, because they're cool. And then get enough money somehow to build a wall. And it's really not a wall, it's walls around the entire thing and inside of it, to handle like animals, in particular goats. But also there's a lot of wildlife here, and we're trying to increase it. And so foxes, armadillos, I don't know if they get in anything. They're so weird. I only see them ever dead. I don't even know if I've seen one alive. Pocket gophers, they're annoying as shit. The dogs have to be controlled in this area. And so one of the to-do items right away is to put up corrugated, no, it's not corrugated, it's cyclone fencing, chain link fencing, along the edges of what is my house. And I don't know where to shut it off over there. I kind of do, because there's a ridge. But I want to maintain some control over that area down there, because it's a pet project of mine. And so I want that included in the middle as well. What that does is it puts the entire forest in a big circle around it. And that allows this to be a command center where people from different groups, in other words, this will probably be the most bordered on group. Seems true. Could be wrong. But I'm going to divide things up near it in ways that allow for very specialized uses. Like that one over there. There's one that is designed to be the rooster house, and that was designed for chicken incubation to see if it would work. Because raising animals better is absolutely critical. Anyway, my battery's dead, so